Bihari Ju ki jai. Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju ki jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupar Ashtatara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Shri Gurudev ki jai. Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupar Ashtatara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Vamana Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupar Ashtatara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupar Ashtatara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupar Ashtatara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Nityalila Pravishta Mahābhāgavata Śrīla Gaurkṣodas Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Nityalila Pravishta Śrīla Saච්chidānanda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Nityalila Pravishta Vaishnava Sārvabhauma Śrīla Jagannātha Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Shār Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityānanda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj ki jai. Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kunda ki jai. Shri Yamuna Devi Ganga Devi ki jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai. Shri Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya ki jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo Jai. Shri Caitanya-bhāgavata ki jai. Actually, we'll do it after the Mangalacharan. I'm just going to do very short Mangalacharan because we only have half an hour to read right now. So, Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityānanda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, the glories of Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata and Śrīla Vrindavan Das Thakur. I'm just going to read the last verse. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sahaje vichitra madhur Chaitanya vihar Vrindavana dasamukhe amrite dhar. By nature, all the activities of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu are very wonderful and sweet, and when they are described by Śrīla Vrindavan Das Thakur, they become like a shower of nectar. Jai Śrīla Vrindavan Das Thakur ki jai, jai Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata ki jai. The Gaudiya Bhashya of Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Alright, so the past few days we've been reading about Mahaprabhu's journey through Orissa, many different places. Let's see. So after having darshan of Kirchor Gopinath and in Remuna and Shakshi Gopal in Kathak, now then Mahaprabhu went to Bhubaneswar. Let's see. So then the Lord went to Bhubaneswar. In this regard, the author elaborately describes the topics of Bhubaneswar Shiva mentioned in the Skanda Puran. He also describes the glories of the place called Ekamraka, the meaning behind the name Bhubaneswar, the glories of Puri, and the topics of Shiva's position as the protector of the Lord's abodes. When Mahaprabhu arrived there, he danced jubilantly before Bhubaneswar Shiva. From there, the Lord went to Kamalapur. On seeing the flag on the top of the Jagannath temple, the Lord became overwhelmed with ecstasy. When Mahaprabhu came to so that's where we read up to. Let's just read from this point on. in the book. And I'm going kind of fast today because I want to finish the rest of this chapter, and I only have half an hour to read. This is a pre-recorded video, if you didn't realize. Okay. So in this way, the Lord happily traveled all the way, and eventually he arrived at Kamalapur. As soon as the Lord saw the flag on the top of the temple, he floated in an ocean of happiness. Okay. Do you think half an hour would be too late then? Should I record this after?
Maybe I'll head over there and I can give you an update.
Okay, thanks. Okay. Okay.
I'll go over and let you know.
Thank you. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Avadut Maharaj, I think everybody knows. He, today on the most auspicious day of Akadashi in Mayapur, Śrī Mayapur Dham, he what do you say? He made his auspicious journey into his next body. So, yeah, that all happened this morning, and they're just, Kishore just told me that they're about to start the procession to bring him to the Ganga. But he's going to go there and let me know how it goes. Maybe I might end this video early. Yeah, because I'm going to go for that as well. Okay, so as soon as the Lord saw the flag on top of the temple, he floated in an ocean of happiness. The Lord's loud roaring was wonderful and beyond description. His entire body began to tremble, and he was unable to move. The Lord then continued on, constantly looking at the temple and reciting verses. Now hear carefully about Lord Gaurachandra's pastime of composing and reciting half of a verse. Now this is the verse that the Mahāprabhu composed. He said, "Just look at the top of the temple. There, in the form of a cowherd boy, with his face resembling a fully blossomed lotus, Lord Shri Krishna is looking at me and smiling sweetly. In this way, the beauty of his face is increasing." The Lord said, "Just see, at the top of the temple, Shri Balagopal is looking at me and smiling." Reciting this verse again and again, the Lord helplessly fell with great force to the ground. Even Ananta cannot describe the way he forcefully fell to the ground and the way he pathetically cried that day. When the Lord and his associates looked at the chakra on the top of the temple, they offered obeisances and recited that verse. In this way, the Lord exhibited ecstatic love of God while offering obeisances the entire way. That is why he is called the incarnation of love of God, Premamoy Avatar. No one other than Śrī Caitanya has the power to display such love. Those pious persons who saw the Lord on the road said, "He is directly Lord Narayan." The devotees surrounded the Lord as they walked down the road. Everyone's eyes were filled with tears of ecstasy. The road that could be covered in 1.5 hours took them 9 hours because of the Lord's absorption and ecstatic love. As soon as Lord Gauranga arrived at Ataranala, he concealed the symptoms of his ecstatic love. The Lord peacefully sat down with his associates and humbly spoke to them. That's where we left off yesterday. Now we have 20 minutes to read the rest of this chapter. Let's see if we can make it. Tomra to amar korila bandhu kaja, dekhi aila ani Jagannātha Maharaj. You have all done a favor to me, for you have brought me to see Lord Jagannāth. Ebe age tomra choloho dekhi bare, ami ba jaibo age taha bolo more. Now tell me whether you should go first to see Jagannath, or I should go first. Mukunda bolen tobe tumi age jao, bhalo boli cholilen Shri Gauranga Rao. Mukunda said, Then you should go first. Gauranga replied, "All right," and then departed. Okay, great. Matta Singha Gati Jini Cholila Satvar Pravishta Hoilo Asi Purir Bhitor. The Lord walked like an intoxicated lion, and soon entered within the town of Jagannath Puri. Don't think that the is supposed to be there. Pravesha hoila gora chand jai Shri Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Pravesha hoila gora chandra nila chale iha je shunaye she bhashe prem jale. Anyone who hears about Gaurachandra's entrance into Nilachal floats in an ocean of ecstatic love. She bhashe prem jale. Ishvar ichai Sārvabhauma she kale Jagannātha dekhite achen kutuhale. By the will of the Supreme Lord, Sārvabhauma was happily taking darshan of Lord Jagannātha at that time. Heno kale Gaurachandra jagata jivan dekhilen Jagannath Subhadra sankarshan. Just then, Gaurachandra, the life and soul of the universe, came to see Jagannath, Subhadra, and Sankarshan, Baladev. Dekhi matra Prabhu kore parama hunkare icha hoilo Jagannatha kole kori bare. As soon as the Lord saw Jagannath, he roared loudly and felt an intense desire to embrace him. Lampaden Vishwambar Anande Vival Chaturdike Chute Shab Nayaner Jal. Being overwhelmed with ecstatic love, Vishwambar leapt into the air, and tears shot from his eyes in all directions. Khone ke porila hoy anande murchita ke bujhe e ishwarer agadha charita. The next moment, he fell to the ground unconscious in ecstasy. Who can understand the unfathomable characteristics of the Supreme Lord? Agyapuri hari shab utilo marite ate vyate Sārvabhauma porila prishtete. As the ignorant guards prepared to beat the Lord, Sārvabhauma hurriedly threw himself onto the Lord's back. Gaudiya Bhashya by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. Wow, I never heard it like that before. The guards are supposed to chastise those pilgrims who commit seva aparad, or offenses in deity worship. As those extremely foolish guards prepared to beat Sri Gaurasundar for falling unconscious in ecstatic love within the temple, which they considered an offense, Sārvabhauma checked them. The word porihari, which is a corruption of the word pratihari, means watchman, or internal security guard. Oops, there should not be a space there. Hridaye chintena Sārvabhauma mahashaya eto shakti manusher kono kale noy. Sārvabhauma Mahashaya thought, no human being can ever exhibit such potency. E hunkar e garjana e premer dhara jata kichu alokika shaktir prachar. This loud roaring, this bellowing, and this current of ecstatic love are all exhibitions of extraordinary potency, Sārvabhauma said. E hunkar e garjan e premer dhar jata kichu alokika shaktir prachar. E jana heno buji Shri Krishna Caitanya e mata chinte Sārvabhauma ati dhanya. This person appears to be Shri Krishna Caitanya. The fortunate Sārvabhauma thought in this way. Sārvabhauma nivarane sarvapori hari rohilen dure shabe mahabhoe kori. Being checked by Sārvabhauma, the guards were frightened and stood at a distance. Prabhu she hoya achen achetana pray dekhi matra Jagannātha nija priya kai. From the moment the Lord saw the form of his beloved Jagannath, he remained unconscious. Ki anande magna hoila vaikunta ishvar vede o eshab tattva janite dushkar. It is difficult for even the Vedas to know how deeply the Lord of Vaikuntha merged in ecstatic love. She Prabhu Gaurachandra Chaturvyuha Rupe Apane Boshiya Ache Singhasane Shukhe. that same Lord Gaurachandra was happily sitting on the Singhasan in his quadruple expansions as Jagannath and Sankarshan. Gaudiya Bhashya. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 12.11.21, it is stated, Vasudeva Sankarshana Prajumna Purusha Swayam Aniruddha iti Brahman Murti Vyuho Bhidiyate. Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Prajumna, and Aniruddha are the names of the direct personal expansions of the Supreme Godhead, O Brahman Shonak. One second. Apane upasaka hoy kore bhakti ataiva ke bhujaye ishvarer shakti apnar tattva prabhu apane she jane vede bhagavate e mato she bakhane. The Lord himself became the worshipper and executed devotional service. Therefore, who can understand the potencies of the Supreme Lord? The Lord alone knows his own glories. This is an explanation of the Vedas and the Srimad Bhagavatam. Gaudiya Bhashya. Since Gaurasundar jumped onto the jewel-studded altar on which the three deities were seated, the consideration of Chaturvyuha arose. In this case, Gaurasundar considered himself a worshipper and not the object of worship as Mayavadis do. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.87.41, it is stated, Du patay eva te na yayur antam anantata. This is the prayers of the personified Vedas, I think. Yatvam api yad antaranda nichaya nanusa varana. Because you are unlimited, neither the lords of heaven nor even you yourself can ever reach the end of your glories. The countless universes, each enveloped in its shell, wander within you. Tatapi je lila prabhu koren jokhone taha kohe vede jiva udhar karane. So wait, what was the previous verse? Who can understand the potencies of the Supreme Lord? The Lord alone knows his glories. This is the explanation of the Vedas and the Srimad Bhagavatam. Yet the Vedas describe the pastimes that the Lord performs for the purpose of delivering the living entities, even though nobody can understand them. Tatapi je lila prabhu koren jokhane taha kohe veda jiva udhar karane. Magna hoilen prabhu vaishnava aveshe pahya dure gelo prem sindhu majhe bhashe. The Lord became absorbed in the mood of a Vaishnav. He lost external consciousness and floated in an ocean of ecstatic love. Avariya Sārvabhauma Achen apane Prabhur Ananda Murcha na hoy khandane. Sārvabhauma continued to guard the Lord, whose ecstatic trance remained unbroken. Sheshe Sārvabhauma Jukti Korilen mane Prabhu loy jai bare apana bhavane. Eventually, Sārvabhauma decided to take the Lord to his house. Sārvabhauma bole bhai pori hari gan shabe tuli loho e purush ratan. Sārvabhauma said, "O brother guards, please pick up this jewel-like personality. Pandu Vijayer Jata Nijabhritya Gan Shabe Prabhu Kole Kori La Gaman." Lord Jagannath's personal servants, who carry the deities to their chariots during the Pandu Vijay ceremony, then picked up the Lord and departed. Gaudiya Bhashya. As Lord Jagannath is carried to his chariots during the Pandu Vijay ceremony, the servants of Jagannath picked up the unconscious Gaurasundar and brought him to Sārvabhauma's house. Ke bujibe ishvarer charitra kahan heno rupe Sārvabhauma mandire gaman. Who can understand the grave characteristics of the Supreme Lord? In this way, the Lord was carried to Sārvabhauma's house. Chaturdike haridvani koriya bohiya anen shabe harisha hoiya. Those servants all became joyful as they carried the Lord and filled the four directions with their chanting of Hari's names. Henoi shamoy sarva bhakta singha dware asiya milila sabe harisha antare. At that time, the devotees arrived at the Singhadwar, at the Singhadwar entrance and became filled with happiness when they saw the Lord. Parama arbhuta shabe dekhen asiya, pipilika gana jeno anna jai loya. They all came and saw that supremely wonderful scene, which resembled ants carrying away a lump of food grains. E mata prabhure aneka loka dhori, loya jayan shabe mahananda kori. In this way, many people caught hold of the Lord and carried him in great ecstasy. Singhadware namaskari sarva bhaktagan, harishe prabhur pache korila gaman. After offering their obeisances at the Singhadwar, the devotees joyfully followed the Lord. Sarva loke dhori Sārvabhaumer mandire, anilen kapata porilo tar dware. All the people brought the Lord into Sārvabhauma's house, and then the door was locked from within. The door was locked from within. Prabhure ashiya je milila bhaktagan, dekhi hoila Sārvabhauma harashitaman. Sārvabhauma was pleased to see all the devotees who had come to see the Lord. Jatha jogya sambhasha koriya sabasane, boshilen sandeho bhangilo totokhane. After appropriately greeting the devotees, Sārvabhauma sat down, and his doubts were removed. Boro shukhi hoila Sārvabhauma mahashai, ar tar kiba bhagya phaler uday. Sārvabhauma Mahashai was most pleased. Who could be more fortunate than him? Jar kirti matra sarva vede vakhya kore, anayase se ishvar aila mandire. The Lord, whose glories are described in the Vedas, has now personally come to his house. Gaudiya Bhashya. In the Śrīmad Bhagavatam 6.425, it is stated, Sarva pumam veda gunangsh Taj Gyo Naveda Sarva Gyam Anantamirde. Sorry, I messed that up. Although the living being may know the qualities of material nature, he is unable to see the Supreme Being, who is omniscient and unlimited. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto him. In the Mahabharata, the Swarga Rohan Parva 6.93, and in the Harivangsha Bhavishyat Parva 132.95, it is stated, Vede Ramayane Chaiva Purane Bharate Tatha Adavante Chamadhe Cha Hari Sarvatra Giyate. In the Vedic literature, including Ramayana, Puranas, and Mahabharata, from the very beginning, Adav, to the end, Antecha, as well as in the middle, Madhyacha, only Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is explained. Okay, so Nityānanda deki Sārvabhauma Mahashai, loila charana dhuli koriya vinay. When Sārvabhauma Mahashai saw Nityānanda, he humbly took dust from his lotus feet. Manusha dilen Sārvabhauma sabasane, cholilen sabe Jagannātha darśane. Sārvabhauma then deputed one man to take them for darshan of Lord Jagannātha. Je manusha jai dekhaite Jagannāth, nivedana kore she koriya joda hat. The man who is deputed to take them to see Jagannath folded his hands and appealed to them. Stir hoy Jagannath, shave dekhiva, purva goshair mata, keho nakoribo. Keho nakoriba. Maintain your composure while seeing Lord Jagannāth. Don't do anything like that last Goswami has done. Kirupa tomra kichu na pari bhujite, stir hoy dekho tabe jai dekhaite. I cannot understand what kind of persons you are. If you remain peaceful while seeing Jagannath, then I'll take you. Don't be like that previous guy. Previous Goswami. Je rupa tomar korilen ek jane, Jagannātha daive rohilen singhasane. It was by the arrangement of providence that Jagannath remained on his singhasan after It was by the arrangement of providence that Jagannath remained on his singhasan after what your companion did. Visheshe baki kohibo je dekhilo tan, she achare anyer ki dehe rohe pran. What more will I say? Everyone who saw him fall forcefully to the ground thought that he could not survive. Eteke tomra sab Antya-khaṇḍa Sambariya dekhiba korilo nivedan. These topics are beyond my understanding. Therefore, my request is that you should all control yourselves while taking darshan. Let's see if Nityānanda and the others were able to control themselves. Shuni shabe hasite la gila bhaktagan, chinta nahi boli shabe korila gaman. On hearing his words, the devotees began to laugh. They told him, Chinta nahi, don't worry, and they departed. Ashi dekhilen chatur vyuha Jagannāth, prakata paramananda bhakta vargasat. They went to the temple. Oh, it's starting. Okay. They went to the temple and saw the Chaturvyuha Jagannath, who is the source of all transcendental happiness and who is accompanied by his devotees. Gaudiya Bhashya. Śrī Caitanya is non-different from Vasudeva, one of the quadruple expansions of the Supreme Lord. Pradyumna and Aniruddha are included in him. Dekhi shabe lagilen korite krandan, dandavata pradakkhina koren stavan. When the devotees saw Jagannath, they began to cry. They offered their obeisances, circumambulated the Lord, and then recited prayers. Prabhur galar mala brahmana aniya, dilen sabar gale santoshita hoya. The Brahman priests happily brought Lord Jagannath's flower garlands and offered them to the devotees. Agyamala paya shabe santoshita mane, aila satvare Sārvabhaumer bhavane. Having received the Lord's mercy in the form of his garlands, the devotees joyfully returned to Sārvabhauma's house. Okay, it looks like they controlled themselves. Prabhur ananda murcha hoilo je mate, bahya nahi bhileka achen shei mate. The Lord remained unconscious in ecstasy. He did not display even a tinge of external consciousness. Boshiya achen Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya, Chaturdike Bhaktagan Rama Krishna Bole. Sārvabhauma was sitting at the Lord's feet, and the devotees chanted the names of Rama and Krishna on all sides. Achintya agamya gora chandrer charita, tin prahare o bahya nahe kadachita. The characteristics of Gaurachandra are inconceivable and unfathomable. He did not regain external consciousness even after 9 hours. Okay, I only have 1 minute to finish, and there's a few verses. Yeah, so I'm just going to read the translation, and then we'll finish this the day after tomorrow. I'll do a recap of the whole chapter, and then we can read these last verses as well. But, okay, so the characteristics of Gaurachandra are inconceivable and unfathomable. He did not regain external consciousness even after 9 hours. After a while, the life and soul of the universe regained external consciousness, and the devotees began chanting the name of Hari. The Lord peacefully asked everyone, "Tell me, what happened to me today?" Nityānanda replied, "Immediately after seeing Jagannath, you fell unconscious. By providence, Sārvabhauma was present there at the time. He caught hold of you and brought you to his house. You were so overwhelmed in ecstasy that you did not regain consciousness for 9 hours. This is Sārvabhauma offering you obeisances." The Lord then hurriedly embraced Sārvabhauma. The Lord said, "Jagannātha is most merciful, for he brought me to the house of Sārvabhauma. I was greatly anxious about how I would attain your darshan, but Krishna has easily fulfilled my desire." After speaking these words, the Lord looked at Sārvabhauma and smiled. The Lord then said, "Now hear what happened to me today. I went and saw Jagannath. When I saw Jagannath, I had an urge to grab him and embrace him to my chest. But after I went to embrace Jagannath, I don't know what happened. By providence, Sārvabhauma was there at the time, so I was saved from a great calamity. I declare that from today on, I will take Jagannāth from outside. I will not enter the temple. I will see the Lord while standing next to Garuḍa." It was... Okay, time is up. Hari Bol! Jai Shri Radhe!